Welcome back to Mindful Living with Nurse Stacy, where we explore mind, body, and soul wellness through a holistic lens, helping you slow down, find balance, and create a life you truly love, one mindful step at a time. In today's fast paced world, our attention is constantly being pulled in many directions. We have social media, we have work, family, and endless to do lists. But what if reclaiming your focus was the secret to creating a life you want? Today, we'll explore why attention is one of your greatest powers, how it shapes your reality, and how to redirect it mindfully. What you give your attention to, you give your power to. Think about that for a second. There have been many times when I felt scattered or reactive. Now I'm learning to focus my attention on what truly matters. About 3 years ago, I was leaning more into figuring out what my life's purpose was and how I was going to live out my purpose. I was involved in multiple projects, activities, and conversations, which led me down several paths. I was not completely focused on what my purpose in life was. I remember feeling like I was constantly putting out fires, constantly shifting from one task to another, and never truly being present to what truly mattered. I was just surviving. But when I started practicing mindfulness, I realized I had the power to choose where I placed my focus. And then everything began to shift. Let's explore together why attention is power. There's a phrase that neuroscientists often use, and it's neurons that fire together, wire together. In other words, the more you focus on a thought, the stronger that pathway becomes in your brain. Our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on where our attention goes. This is a process called neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity is backed up by science. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change, rewire, and form new connections through life. Every thought, emotion, and experience literally reshapes your neural pathways. The more you repeat something, whether it's practicing gratitude, focusing on a goal, or stressing over worries, the stronger those brain circuits become. Have you ever noticed that what you focus on seems to grow in your life? I know I have. That's because attention is energy. And whenever we or you place focus on it, essentially what you're doing is you're feeding it. It gets nurtured and its giving power expands. Think of attention like sunlight. Imagine you have two plants in your care. One is vibrant and healthy, and the other is drooping and weak. If you keep watering and giving life or sunlight to the weak plant while ignoring the healthy one, guess what happens? I know you guessed it. The weak one will grow stronger, and the healthy one may start to fade. Your thoughts work the same way. The more energy and focus you give something, whether it's positive or negative, the more it thrives. So if you're constantly feeding negative thoughts like self doubt, fear, or guilt, those patterns become stronger and more automatic. But if you intentionally direct your attention towards gratitude, peace, or solutions, those pathways strengthen instead until positivity becomes more of your natural default. Now, let's explore how energy plus creation equals attention. And here's how that ties in: energy is focus and attention. Energy is what you bring to your thoughts, what you bring to your emotions and actions. The brain is the energy efficient organ. It tends to reinforce the pathways you give the most energy to. Now, in creation, those neuroplastic change, or there's neuroplastic change. So when you give energy to a thought or behavior, you're creating or reinforcing that pathway in your brain. For example, focusing on peace and gratitude strengthens circuits in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and it weakens the overactivity in the amygdala, which is the stress and fear center of the brain. Attention is where the power lies. Attention is the currency of neuroplasticity. What you repeatedly give your attention to literally wires your brain to create more of it in your reality. So, again, neurons that fire together wire together. So, how can we put this all together? When you say energy plus creation equals attention, energy is your focused mental and emotional state. Creation is the act of wiring or rewiring your brain through neuroplasticity. Attention is both the tool and the outcome. So, where you place your energy creates your reality because your brain becomes optimized to notice, act on, and amplify those things. An example of this could be if you're constantly, or if you constantly give attention or your energy to stress, you create more stress pathways. If you shift your energy towards calm and gratitude, neuroplasticity creates stronger peace pathways. Over time, your default attention changes and you begin naturally noticing opportunities, naturally noticing joy and solutions instead of problems. So, in short, your attention is shaped by neuroplasticity. And where you place your energy creates the brain wiring that determines what you keep paying attention to. And this isn't just all about brain or all about the brain. Let's take a look at it through the holistic lens of the mind, the body, and the soul. First off, with the mind, when you train your attention, your thinking becomes clearer. You experience less anxiety because you're not constantly chasing every thought. Secondly, with the body, when you're directing your focus toward calm, mindful awareness, it lowers stress hormones, improves your immune system, and gives you more sustainable energy throughout the day. Lastly, with the soul, at the deepest level, attention is alignment. When you focus on what truly matters, it deepens your values, which in turn deepens your purpose and your sense of connection. You can begin to live life from your highest self instead of running on autopilot. So, attention really is power. It's not just what you notice, it's what you nurture. And just like in a garden, what you choose to water is what will grow. Now, a little bit more on how we lose our attention. We lose it through entertaining constant notifications. Ooh, I don't like notifications, so I want to turn them off all the time. We lose it through constant multitasking. It's a default mode. Default mode. It's what neuroscientists call the default mode network, or the DMN of the brain. The default mode network is a set of brain regions that becomes most active when your mind is not focused on a task, like when you're daydreaming or reflecting or remembering or imagining the future. It's like the background hum of your brain. The default modes are worrying versus planning. Worrying is the negative default. So when this default mode network gets hijacked by the amygdala, which is the fear and stress center of the brain, your mind drifts toward rumination, self criticism, and the what if scenarios. This can create a loop of anxiety and negative thinking. Neuroplasticity strengthens these circuits if repeated, making worry your default mental habit. But on the opposite end, planning is constructive. The default mode network, which can be used productively for creative problem solving, envisioning the future, or reflecting with insight. When balanced with the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational, executive control part of the brain, planning becomes forward focused and action oriented rather than spiraling into worry. Neuroplasticity reinforces these healthier circuits when you repeatedly shift your attention there. The key difference here is that worrying equals energy spent on imagined problems without resolution, which drains your attention. However, on the other hand, planning, which equals energy directed toward possible actions and solutions that creates clarity. Both use the default mode network, but the quality of the attention you bring determines whether it becomes destructive for worry or constructive for planning. There's a big difference. So let's explore mindfulness and the default modes network. In mindfulness and the default mode networks, mindfulness practices like meditation quiets the default modes and networks and reduces overactivity in worry loops. So over time, this rewires your brain so your default mode shifts from anxious rumination to calmer awareness and purposeful planning. In simple terms, your brain's default mode can either be a worry machine or a planning tool. And neuroplasticity ensures that whichever one you feed the most attention becomes your norm. So let's do an attention audit. First off, ask yourself, where is my attention going most of the day? Where is that attention most of the time? And then notice what drains your energy versus what gives you energy or what gives you life. Secondly, another thing you can do is the 3 breath reset. When you feel scattered, just pause. Inhale for 4 counts and then exhale for 6 counts. Do this 3 times. This will actually bring you back to the present moment. Also, daily intention setting, you can do this practice in the morning. You can choose one guiding word or focus for the day. And examples of that could be practicing being calm for the day, or you can choose to focus on what you are grateful for. How about something that I know I need more help with? Patience. Now, I know if I intentionally focus on patience, I have to prepare myself for it because it's going to be somewhat challenging, but I know without a doubt that I can do it. Something else worth mentioning or something else worth trying is a single tasking practice. Give full attention to one activity. It could be eating, it could be walking, or it could just be listening. Notice how it feels versus multitasking. Lastly, redirecting your attention to what you want. When negative thought patterns arise, acknowledge them. Then gently shift your focus toward the desired outcome or positively reframe it. Now, let's do a reflection exercise. You can choose to close your eyes or keep them open. But what I want you to do is ask yourself, what one thing you want to give more attention to this week? And ask yourself, what one thing you want to release your attention from? I encourage you to do some journaling or make a mental note. I want to invite you to a takeaway challenge. And it's a simple takeaway challenge. I need you to do a daily attention reset. In the morning, what you can do is you can set one focus for the day, just one focus for the day. And with that one focus that you set for the day, in the evening, reflect on that focused goal and ask yourself, did I give my attention to what mattered for the day? So I want to thank you for joining me on another episode of Mindful Living with Nurse Stacy. If this inspired you to be more focused and powerful, like, comment, and share this with a friend. Also, subscribe for more holistic tools each week. So until next time, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and keep living mindfully.